Well, howdy folks, and welcome back to the PI Guide channel. I have one thing to say today, folks, and that one thing, quite simply, is don't be a PI. Don't become a private investigator unless you fully understand the downsides of being a PI. First, let's take a look at the startup costs and requirements to becoming a private investigator. In most states, you are required by law to be licensed in order to work as a PI. I have this PDF file up on the Discord channel, which lists all states and a link for each state where you can get more information on what private investigator licensing requirements are in place for these states. Check out the link below for the Discord channel to get this PDF file and many other free private investigator resources. So the first con or obstacle for many aspiring PIs is the licensing requirements. For instance, in California, you must meet these requirements. You must be 18 years of age or older to apply. You must undergo a criminal history background check through the California Department of Justice, DOJ, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI. And the applicant, you, are responsible for paying all LifeScan, FBI, and DOJ processing fees as well. You also need to have at least 3 years, 2,000 hours each year, totaling 6,000 hours of compensated experience in investigative work. Or you need to have a law degree or completed a 4-year course in police science plus 2 years, 4,000 hours of experience. Or have an associate degree in police science, criminal law, or justice and 2.5 years, 5,000 hours of experience. Then there are requirements for the order in which you complete each application process: a special firearm permit to carry a firearm while working as a PI, and insurance requirements. Those insurance requirements require you to carry liability insurance for acts, errors, or omissions for up to $1 to $5 million. Now, most states have similar rules and regulations and requirements, so you can see it can become a bit daunting and costly just to become a private investigator, and we haven't even talked about the other costs of being a PI. Just to put things in reference, most state PI licensing costs are a few $100s plus costs for fingerprint backgrounds and other background checks, so you can expect out of the gate maybe $500 or so getting a license. But folks, there are some states where the cost for a license itself is over $1,000. So get on the Discord channel, download that PDF file, and check out that list of state licensing requirements and see what your state requires. What other costs are there to becoming a PI? Well, unless you are working as a PI for a larger firm, you will most likely need an office from which you do your PI work from. A lot of people, myself included, have a home office. This is a huge benefit in many ways and can be a huge detriment too. Most people will just use a spare bedroom, which is fine. For me, I'm a little lucky. I had a shop area on the other side of my garage, which I never used much, so I was able to convert it into an office many years ago. This is nice as it is separate from our regular living areas in the house, and well, technically, I have to leave the house to go to work. But sometimes working at home can be a distraction from the work that is required for the business, and this needs to be considered when you think about where you will office out of. If you need to get an office space by itself, well, that can get expensive too. I did have one at one time, an office downtown, and the cost wasn't too bad. But I live in a smaller city, so the costs tend to be lower. The office I had was in a shared office space, so it was not as private as you would like if you were doing a lot of confidential work. I use this space mostly for meeting clients as it afforded me a private conference room, printer access, and other features and amenities. But I ran across a huge negative for me with this. I still had my office at home where I did most of my work, and my tax accountant was kind enough to inform me I cannot, as a single member LLC, deduct my home office if I have a regular office, and I deduct that as well. This is another thing to consider, folks. Make sure you know what you can and cannot do from the tax perspective. When I started, I did the taxes every year all by myself. And man, oh man, folks, I would spend 40, 50 or more hours a year doing those taxes. Most of that time sweating, wondering if I was doing them right. Did I get all my deductions? Can I deduct this? How do I calculate that? Are all my 1099s in? You name it, I stressed over it, and it cost me a lot of headaches and worry. Many years ago, I hired a tax professional to do my taxes, both for the companies I own and personal, and life has gotten so much better for me, so much less stress from February to April. So you have to consider the cost for an accountant. I use a local tax accountant who just works with smaller LLCs, and the cost is less than $500 a year. Now back to your PI office, folks. You could office at home in a spare bedroom or other room, but I caution people to make sure it is a room you can easily secure and it is only used for work. Again, from a tax perspective, you can only deduct that space if it is solely used for business. Now, I am not a tax expert. This is not tax or legal advice. Check with your accountant or an attorney to figure out what is best for you and your circumstance. You also need to consider the security of the office for many reasons. First, you will be handling confidential information, and it is incumbent upon you to ensure that that information remains confidential. You will also have access to sensitive information such as social security numbers, dates of birth, phone numbers, addresses, and other pieces of data that needs to remain secured. Even if you are a paperless office like what I have for the most part, you still need more security to the office than just a password on your computer. If a bad person gets into the office because the office itself is not secured, then your data on your computer, laptop, or whatever other device you use is just a USB stick away from having all that information stolen. Also, you have to consider the data companies you will need to use as a private investigator. Most professional investigator database companies will require an office inspection to be conducted on a regular basis. Some require annual inspections, some are every 2 years, but regardless, you will need to be able to pass that inspection. And folks, if you're officed off of your kitchen table, well, you simply will not pass those inspections. Your office needs to be secured with locks on every door and window. Your office will also need the following things minimally to pass a data company's office inspection. You will need a locking file cabinet. Even if you are 100% paperless and do not have papers to file, you need to have one of these. Your office will need a cross-shred paper shredder. Yes, even if you are 100% paperless and have no paper to shred. Your computers, laptops, tablets, cell phones, and other devices you use will require a secured password on them, and this must be demonstrated. No, you do not have to give them the password, but you must be able to demonstrate you use a password for security purposes. And don't have your computer unlocked when the inspector arrives. If the inspector walks in and sees your computer desktop just sitting there for all to see, you may get dinged for having it unsecured. So there are some additional costs to becoming a PI right there. You need a secured office, a paper shredder, a file cabinet, a computer. Don't forget the computer, folks, a cell phone, and other things. All things combined, I would venture a guess that you will need $2,000 to $3,000 to invest in your business from the get-go. And if you are doing surveillance or other field work, you will need a reliable vehicle too. But wait, we ain't done yet, folks. Not by any means. Let's look at some other cons to becoming a private investigator. The challenges of running a PI business alone are a huge downside for many folks. Now, if you can get on as an employee with a large firm or even a subcontractor for a large firm, then some of those challenges are not as prevalent. But for most of us, even if you are a subcontractor, you are a business person too. You need to know how to run your business, how to set your rates, how to market your business, how to reach customers, how to sell to customers, how to deal with clients, and the list goes on and on. If you need some help with these challenges, then please check out my books. I have it all covered in these 4 books, from PI business basics to marketing to sales, and even getting you started with your very own ironclad PI contract. I will leave a link below for you to review these books at your leisure, but wait. We aren't done yet, folks. Let's discuss some of the other challenges for private investigators. By a show of hands, let me see how many PIs out there have all the work they can handle all the time. Just raise your hand if you simply do not need any more work. You are busy all the time and have no time for new clients. Yeah, I can't raise my hand, and most PIs out there can't either. If you are one of the lucky ones that are too busy all the time, here is your bonus tip of the day. Raise your rates. Yep, if you are that busy and the phone keeps ringing and you can't get caught up, it is time to raise your rates. You are leaving money on the table and probably working for less than what the market will bear. Bonus tip 2, folks, busy ain't profitable. Profit is profitable. Make sure your services are priced correctly to maximize your company's financial goals effectively. In this business, work has many ebbs and flows, many ups and downs, and you must be prepared for that at all times. I have seen many a PI start up, get in the groove, have all the work they need, or at least all the work they think they need. Then a slow period comes and they have nothing saved up, and then they are soon out of business. Being a PI isn't all fun and games, folks. You have to plan your business well into the future, and part of that planning is planning your finances. The income part of being a PI is a huge downside for many an aspiring investigator, to be sure. You may be asking right now, how much does a PI make on the average? According to a recent study I saw, the average PI in California makes around $65,000 to $70,000 a year. Can you live in California on $70,000 a year? According to a 2020 story in Forbes, the annual average salary for a PI in the United States is $57,100. Now, folks, those are the average numbers, and I can guarantee you out of the gate, you will not be in the average range for what you make. Yeah, I know there are some folks who have the right set of skills, talent, and luck. They hit the road running and make it there very quickly, but those are the lucky ones. A quick look at some of the top recruiting sites online, and it shows the average hourly pay for PIs at $15 to $33 an hour. Now, you might be thinking, well, gosh, $33 an hour ain't too bad. If I work 40 hours a week, that is $68,000 a year. First off, most of those jobs are subcontract surveillance jobs in the $25 or more an hour range. The W-2 jobs are going to be more in the $15 to $20 an hour range, and mostly surveillance jobs. So if you are a subcontractor, I can almost guarantee you that you will not see 40 billable hours a week to start with. In fact, when I started, it took me 3 years before I started seeing 40 plus billable hours a week. And if you are a subcontractor, there are plenty of expenses to consider, like what we discussed before, and one really huge one we will look at right now. That one huge expense for private investigators is self-employment tax, folks. Self-employment tax takes $10,000 right off of that $68,000, and now you're at the $58,000 mark and still have expenses to cover. On the average, I would estimate that you need to account for approximately 40% of your revenues to cover all expenses. So now that $68,000 is more like maybe around $40,000 a year take home. This is equivalent to $20 an hour, not the $33 an hour you thought you were making. Not to be too humdrum, too negative, too oh woe are we poor private investigators out here. But folks, the facts are the facts, and you need to consider the facts when considering getting into this profession. And yes, there are even more downsides. Listen up. Here are other things you need to consider. Risk is prevalent in the job of a PI. Business risk, risk of losing money, risk of physical harm, legal risks like the risk of being sued by clients, being sued by subjects of your investigations, risk of losing clients, and the list goes on and on. The hours needed to run a successful PI business is more than you can imagine. If you want 40 billable hours, then plan on working 60 to 70 hours or more a week. Sales need to happen. Marketing needs to be done. Accounting takes a lot of time. Easily 50% of your time will be spent running the business. And then there is the boredom of it all. Even if you have a red Ferrari, the humdrum of the job does set in, folks. When I started, it was very exciting, and in many ways it still is, but that adrenaline rush, that excitement of the chase is not as high as it was back when I started in 2008. And at the end of the day, I still must sit in the office, write the reports, edit the video, call the clients, send the updates, do the marketing, answer the sales line, get the accounting done, respond to those emails, check the voicemails, and all that other jazz. Now, I wanted to say thank you. Thank you very much for supporting the channel. When you watch my videos, when you like the videos, and when you subscribe to the channel, it shows me your support, and it really means a lot to me. I also want to say thanks to the many members of this channel. Becoming a member of the channel is easy. Just click the join button below for more information to find out all the great perks to membership. You know what they say, membership has its privileges. And thanks so much to these members. I really do appreciate your support. Eric Hutchinson, thank you so very much for your 4 months of support as a PI Guy Premium supporter. And thanks, Ivan Weich, for your support at the PI Guy Supporter Plus level. Much appreciated, Ivan. And a shout out to Mr. William Tucker. Thank you, sir, for your dedicated 2 months of support. I really appreciate it, William. And many thanks to Dallas Strickland, Daniel Fleshman, Michael Gaddy for their support for the PI Guy channel. I appreciate each and every one of you. Now come here. If you would like to know the secrets of how to scale your PI business, then check out this video.